I pre-ordered this camera immediately when it was announced and when it became available. And since then, it's been 3 or 4 days. I've almost canceled my pre-order twice.
Bruh.
My name's Anthony and welcome to my YouTube channel where we discuss gear, lighting, and different cinematography tips to help you on your filmmaking journey. I don't own this camera yet, but I did pre-order it. So all the example footage is not my own. It's available on the Blackmagic website. I did end up grading the footage the way I would normally grade my own footage. But with that being said, let's get right into it. As a Lumix S5iix owner, I was really hesitant about this camera after already making the pre-order because it's basically the same thing except without the incredible IBIS, usable autofocus, better battery life, better form factor, and a couple other things. But I still decided to keep my pre-order, and let's get into why. I don't want to waste too much of your time, so I'm going to get right into it. The first reason was the fact that it does record B-roll internally. The S5iix can record B-roll, but you do need that external monitor, and I like keeping my rig as stripped down as possible unless I'm doing a bigger production. The BMCC6k records it internally and has that 5-inch LCD screen, so I wouldn't even feel the need to use a monitor for most run and gun situations. So for me, it was all in one package, didn't have to add any extras to get the codec that I wanted to shoot in. Another reason why I pre-ordered this camera in the first place was that it integrated seamlessly into the cameras that I already own. I have the Ronin 4D that I use an L mount with, and I have the S5iix that obviously uses an L mount. I did recently sell my C70 to replace it with an FX6 because it just made sense and I've always wanted to try an FX6. But having a camera that uses the same lens mount and having it seamlessly integrate within my other cameras makes my life a lot easier. And the last, and for me, the most important reason when you purchase a camera is its image quality. This is something I talk about a lot. I really try not to focus on specs, even though the BMCC6k can record full frame 6K 48 frames per second. Something that hits me every time I use one is the soft, beautiful, and annoyingly cliche cinematic image that they produce. They really do look like a cinema camera, not just a mirrorless camera that is labeled a cinema camera. They really do look like a different kind of image as opposed to every other camera on the market. I will be making comparisons with other cameras when I do receive the unit, so feel free to subscribe if you are interested in that. But after getting the FX6, I noticed immediately that the image is way different. I had a shoot recently with a buddy of mine using some Pocket 6Ks, and the image was just so much more pleasing to me. Yes, the advertised dynamic range is much lower than, let's say, even the FX6, but Blackmagic is more like Arri in the way that they advertise their usable stops of dynamic range within their camera. Canon, unfortunately, is extremely inaccurate. Sony is inaccurate. Even Lumix gives it a little bit more sauce than it actually does, even though they do have really good dynamic range within their cameras. This is something I found out from personal use with the camera and color grading hours and hours of Blackmagic footage. So yeah, this video was not meant to be super long. I just wanted to share why I purchased this camera because I did have a good amount of people asking me and thinking I was crazy for actually purchasing it. And hopefully this helps your buying decision because I know a ton of Blackmagic people were really disappointed when it was released, and I could see why. It's not a super exciting camera, but for people like me who already own L mount cameras, and image quality is one of the biggest deciding factors when you're shopping for a camera, there's a good chance that this camera would be a good fit for you. I wouldn't be deterred by all the hoopla and nonsense that's out there about the form factor and cube whatever. I think that's a little ridiculous and kind of hyped. I like cube cameras, but I don't know. There's a lot of stupid hype in this industry, but with that being said, if that didn't tick you off, make sure that you like this video, comment down below if it did tick you off, and subscribe to stay notified for future videos. I'll see you in the next one.